before you've had a chance to go sit in some more.
There's a story about, I guess in the Middle Ages, a lot of people got baptized right before they died.
Mm-hmm.
Like Constantine, the emperor. The story about him is that he got baptized right before he died.
Yeah, well,
He wanted to wait so that he would go. He thought he'd go straight to heaven if he got baptized right before he died.
One of the 7 sacraments is last rites. Mm-hmm. So you're clean before you go.
But as we started to talk about this, we had an interesting debate once, you and me, because you were saying, in case that there is, that you're an atheist, but in case that there is a heaven, that you said that you would go there because you've done like the good deeds, the Catholic deeds.
Yeah, but I don't really believe that there is a heaven.
Yeah, but just in case.
Hypothetically, I've got that to fall back on. Yeah.
And then I think because I wanted to like at the time I said that, but you don't.
No, I'd have to go to confession once more, which I don't plan on doing.
But you'd have to. I think even in Catholicism, you have to at least believe too.
True.
Like atheism is a sin.
Yeah.
And then I think another debate we had was I said that you weren't allowed to take communion.
Yeah, and I say I have the right. But for me, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
So that's why I do it.
It seems like it's the one, because it's like the most popular one by the numbers. Like if you buy people that say that they're Catholic, it's like 1 billion people. I think. 1 out of 6 people. But it's the one, I feel like when I usually meet a Catholic, they do have that opinion of it's a cultural thing.
Yeah.
Maybe because it's works-based, you can kind of just do the works, and it's not as much about what you believe.
Yeah.
Like how if you're, Spanish, you have a siesta.
Right. But, I mean, even the people who go through the motions believe in what they're doing.
Like when you were a kid, did you believe in it?
Yes.
But, so did you believe, like historically, that there was a guy named Jesus? And
yes.
He died.
Yeah, I was a Catholic until I was 16. The whole thing.
So did you get the basic idea of like us being sinners and Christ died for us?
Catholics don't look at it that way. Or they don't focus on.
That's what's interesting to me is how would you say that? How was the what was the gist of it?
Just phrases like
what was the basic idea? Like what was it about? Was it about a cure for sin?
Was church a cure for sin?
Catholicism? Like what was the point of it?
Well, I don't think Catholics
for you
are any different than Protestants in that.
Like in your experience, like they don't. I think Baptists, in my experience, are the only ones that have this emphasis on like being saved or not.
Yeah, they're the ones.
I think I got saved on June 20th.
They're the ones who say things like "I am a sinner." And the Catholics don't use the word "saved." We aren't saved
because you never are. You have to make it all the way to the end and die before you're saved. Like you're never. It's never like I'm good.
Okay.
Right.
Yes, that makes sense.
But so, when you were a kid, were you thinking, "Well, I'm gonna be a good Catholic, and then when I die, I'll go to heaven"?
Yeah.
Was hell like a frightening motivation?
Or? Again, Catholics tend not to focus on hell. Mm-hmm. Although that's obviously a part of it. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Avoiding it.
And then, so what was? Can you go through your history? Because I guess if you say because there's a story right about how you grew up Catholic and then you became an atheist. Like how does that story go?
Well, I guess I was born
in New Jersey.
I was born into Catholicism, baptized
in New Jersey
as a baby in New Jersey. Mm-hmm. I was a Jersey Catholic.
Yeah.
The best kind. Mm-hmm. And I did the communion, first communion. Mm-hmm. Remember that?
What's that entail?
You go to church school after church, and it's when you first start.
So you went to mass every Sunday?
It's
with your mom and your dad?
Yeah, the whole family. Mm-hmm. But yeah, after First Communion, then you start taking communion with everybody else.
Mm-hmm.
Before that, you can't, I guess.
So you have First Communion is the first thing.
Yeah, baptism and then First Communion, Eucharist.
Because how old is that?
First Communion, 7 probably.
Okay. Which I think in other, like I think if the Baptists think that that's around the time, I think 6 or 7 is considered around the time when you're able to understand what you're doing.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's when...
But you're still just doing what your parents tell you to do.
You remember taking your First Communion?
Yes.
Was it an emotionally profound experience?
It's mostly just fun because you get to start doing what the adults do. I mean, usually during communion you sit there.
Like smoking.
Yeah, exactly. But now you get to stand up with everybody else and go take go take communion. But then right around that same time you do confession, reconciliation.
It's funny to think of a little kid in confession. I never thought.
Yeah.
Like what do you confess?
When you first do it, you say,
I ate a booger.
You say, "Bless me, Father, for I have sinned. It's been never since my last confession." And you say, "I hit my sister. I said a bad word," that kind of thing. And the priest says, "Well, go say 5 Our Fathers and 5 Hail Marys." And so you go and you kneel down and
then you have to hold a football game, and you have to wait till it's like the last minute, and you have to throw like a really unlikely pass.
Right. That's a part of it.
That's a Hail Mary. You have to do that 5 times.
Yeah.
In 5 different games.
Right.
Yeah. But so you had your First Communion, and then so you're 6, and you
and then
told them that you confessed to eating the
right
boogers.
after that you do confession. So that's
First confession.
That's the third thing.
Do you get up in front of the congregation? Do they go like this is
For confession?
or for your First Communion?
Yeah.
They kind of, this is gonna be
there's
Blake's
a
First Communion.
There's a class. There's a group of us.
Oh yeah, you were taking class. So you have to
You go to church schools after church for an hour, and generally church schools you just do little kid projects, but certain years you are working on something like Eucharist or reconciliation. And then a few years later, about 10 years later, you do confirmation. And about then...
How many years later?
About 10 years later.
So
it's like a high school
so like
thing.
16,
Yeah.
confirmed.
Yeah.
What's that signify?
You're a full member of the Catholic Church. You're an adult. So, yeah, it's like your last class in high school. But for church.
From 6 to 16, you're taking classes to prepare you to be confirmed?
You're just taking classes.
Sunday school?
Sunday school.
Yeah. Like I go to Sunday school on Sunday. So it's your Sunday school?
Yeah, you just go to Sunday school and talk about...
Do they teach you like theology? Do you like the Trinity?
You just learn about church. Yeah, you just learn about the Bible, learn about church.
But you learn about like God and Jesus and the Holy Ghost being...
Yeah.
3 people of one substance.
That's part of it, yeah.
You're
Around 16, you're doing confirmation. Around then, I was dragging my feet to
Because
church.
you're in high school.
Around then, I was
cutting class.
I wondered what is this all for? This is all stupid. It's boring.
That's right.
It's
We're leading up
pointless.
to atheism, aren't we?
Yeah. So I think that was the first thing that happens on the road to apostasy is first it was just, this is boring and I can do without it.
But you lost your like fear of afterlife, or?
No, I still believed in God, but I'm just saying, like, church got boring.
It is like, for Catholic, it is the same thing.
It's the same thing
literally.
every week, and I knew it.
I
have it memorized still.
It's like all new songs and a new sermon, and that's it. A bunch of new songs and a new sermon, and you leave.
Yeah, I mean, I still go to Mass from time to time for whatever reason, and I still know the prayers, and that's fun. I like knowing that stuff.
But you're 16, and at this point, like, you're living with your mom.
And I'm still going to church every Sunday.
Or at least you're telling her that. At some
For
point,
the most part, I went to church every Sunday.
Okay. But then because at some point, I feel like when I knew you, you were pretending to go to church.
Yeah, I would steal away from church